Welcome to Acharya Shunya's Global Satsang. Acharya Shunya is a modern teacher of non-dual Advaita Vedanta philosophy from the Upanishads and Bhagavad Gita, the lived practices of Vedic yoga, and the transformative knowledge of Ayurveda lifestyle wisdom. Her teaching changes lives, enabling happiness, well-being, and spiritual abundance. For seekers of the ultimate truth, these teachings awaken consciousness and assist realization of the sovereign self. Acharya Shunya is a Vedic wisdom holder of an ancient lineage. She received traditional training under her guru, Baba Ayodhya Nath, in Ayodhya, India. Baba tasked Acharya Shunya to bring these teachings to the modern world. As a teacher who has walked this Vedic path from darkness to light, from emotional bondage to spiritual freedom, Acharya Shunya is uniquely able to dynamically communicate these ancient subtle teachings to modern students. We welcome you to begin your journey of Vedic studentship with these monthly classes. Please be sure to subscribe to our YouTube channel and Vedic Contemplations Facebook group for ongoing study with Acharya Shunya.
Welcome to my global satsang. I enjoy sitting down with you month after month and exploring avenues, spiritual pathways, contemplative philosophy, and the wisdom tradition coming out of India known as the Vedas. Because the Vedas, which is the most ancient body of knowledge from India, is said to possess a unique light, a light that is universal, a light that is beyond religion, and a light that informs us of our true potential. That is why I want to use Vedic wisdom that was imparted to me by my teacher, Baba Ayodhya Nath in India. And now I wish to share with you so that we can learn to embody our soul's calling. You would think that it would be intuitive to embody your soul's calling, but more often than not, souls are just flitting about the planet. And we look at our calling as a job. Once we have a job, let me settle down. Maybe now my calling is to raise a family. Maybe now my calling is to socialize and know my neighbors. Now my calling is to upgrade my car or have a new kitchen. But all these things are really only a part of your daily life. They don't necessarily leave you deeply fulfilled. They don't necessarily make you smile when you wake up in the morning. But when you are knowing how to embody your soul's calling, there are greater chances that you will lead a much more fulfilled life, and you will not only be of value to yourself, but your evolutionary contribution as you evolve, your contribution to the planet would be significant. And I'm recording this in fall 2020. Our planet is right now significantly reeling with a pandemic. The country I live in, USA, we have very polarized elections. There is also the question of social justice. It's not enough to not believe in racism. Now is the time for us to take a stand against racism. So when so much is going on, you would wonder why I choose to talk about soul's calling, because I think when we start exploring about the soul and its calling of the deeper being, it's really only at that time that we become ready to face the challenges on our planet, be it a virus, be it a president gone crazy, or be it the regression that we are facing in the emotional anatomy of our country people, where racism had been looked at, addressed, and understood that it is like a disease of humanity, but it's coming back as if out of the woodworks. That's why I want to talk to you about soul calling, because really one of the first tools to truly come into your own true soulhood is to use your awareness like a tool. It is like a fertilizer, and you can use your awareness to grow what you want to grow. So let me talk a little more about it. In a given moment, your mind has, we hear about it, amazing capacity to hold knowledge, information, and apparently we only use a very little part of it in our day-to-day life. Well, that little part of it that we use in our day-to-day life, what is our cognitive awareness in a given moment, is significant. And what are you looking at during using that awareness is what the seeds that you are planting, and what is the fruit that you shall have to eat. For example, if you are using your awareness only to focus upon disease, that's one thing. But if you were to use that awareness to focus upon wellness, you might soon be going for a walk. You might soon be getting on to that Ayurvedic diet that has been recommended to you and really paying attention, not making little excuses here and there or blanking out on the suggestions of Ayurveda's wonderful diet that saves lives. So when your awareness is moving towards something that is what you want versus what you don't have, when our awareness is locked in a don't have modality or state of mind, lamentation sets in, self-pity sets in, anger sets in, confusion sets in, and the vibration of your being becomes quite negative overall. You have freedom. You are a soul. And according to the Vedas, you have the freedom to choose what you want to be aware about. Do you want to be aware about what is not working in your life, or do you want to be aware about what is working? That's one thing. It helps you be grateful. But then what can work? What is possible? And this is where I want to take you, because you can't even imagine using your mind what is possible. The mind has a limitation, but your soul is without limitations. And that's where I want to take you, and I hope you watch every part of the series of my satsang, because whatever you focus, the torchlight in your life, that is what's going to come to you. If you focus your torchlight on everybody who doesn't look like me is a potential terrorist or anarchist or somebody who's going to disturb the peace of my society, they're going to come to us and get us, and we focus our torchlight there, that is what we then seem to see. That's what we hear. That's the kind of social media feed that comes to us. And then that becomes our reality. And even if somebody is peacefully passing by, we look at them with suspicious eyes and confirm to ourselves our own beliefs. Whereas if we were to use our awareness to look at the essence in every being, beyond their color, beyond their religion, into their heart, which is ticking just like our heart, then we might notice that Advaita or non-duality that the Vedic seers talk about, that oneness that is undeniable. The color of the skin is very superficial. What clothes they wear, how they look, what's their hair like, how do they pray, do they hold their hands like this or like this or like this? It's very superficial. But you cannot miss, when your awareness is focused on looking for what unites you, then you cannot miss that true self, which according to the Vedas is common between us. We may have different bodies, we may have different minds, but we have a shared self, so to say, and you cannot deny that. So imagine if everything is dark around you, everything, and you just had this one torchlight, yeah? Then whatever you focus your torchlight on, that is going to expose itself to you. And that's the way most of us live. That's the way most of us operate in life. We've seen these little bits and pieces of the total, and we make our own little equations, and we announce to ourselves that this is reality, which includes summing up our own weaknesses and strengths. We have shone the torchlight on our mistakes, on our limitations, on our faux pas moments, on our oops moments, on some habits that we may not be very happy about. And we've put this cluster together, and that's what we lug around all day. This is me, a broken person, a hopeless person, a person who tried but didn't succeed. And we also often look at our lovers and others in our life with that torchlight, and only that part of them get illumined on wherever we shine that light. So most of us are walking through the matrix, and we don't know we are in the matrix. And the matrix in the Vedas is known as Maya. It's like a hallucinatory matrix where it's completely pitch dark, and all we really have is this torchlight from our mind, and we're targeting it, and we're coming to some conclusions. And most of us come to conclusions with little bits and pieces, and so we're walking around holding that in a very precious sense. But I invite you today to the sanctuary of Vedic wisdom, and to the sanctuary of Vedic scriptures known as the Vedas, Upanishads, and the Bhagavad Gita. Because what they are like is they are like big halogen bulbs. When you come across even one verse, for example, of the Bhagavad Gita or some of the Upanishads, these are texts written not only by men seers known as rishis, but also female seers known as rishikas 10,000 years ago, before Hinduism was born, before Buddhism, before Jainism, before Sikhism took their birth in the great land of India. When the quest was for the ultimate truth, that's when the Vedas came about. This is more a way of life, a way of living consciously with all the lights on. And that's what the Vedas are about. And if you are fortunate to find a teacher, find a way, or find a book where you can find even one of those verses illuminated, it's like you were in this dark room and all the lights came on, and suddenly, instead of our myopic vision, we regain 20/20 vision, and we are able to see much more. And there are so many tools that the Vedas teach, including examining our own thoughts to see if we have come to a conclusion from a very tiny bit of torchlight, or is this the truth based upon the ultimate light. For example, we all see the sun rise and sun set, but so at one level it feels like the truth that the sun rises and the sun sets. But in reality, the sun neither rises nor sets. It is we who are moving where we are sitting. We're just constantly moving. That's why it appears to us that the sun is rising and sun is setting. So the Vedas are not based upon knowledge of some perceptive conclusions made in a hurry. The knowledge of the Vedas has to go beyond what presents itself to the eye. But that is what we do. We shine our mentative light, torchlight on things that make us unhappy, things that confirm to us our own smallness, on things that probably feed our prejudice on circumstances, just circumstances that allow us to abandon our own selves, to shame ourselves. Say you were in a classroom and everybody was really bright in math and you were not bright in math. So it's a circumstance of a collection of people. But that doesn't mean that you're stupid. But that does not mean that you are not meant to be uncovering your soul's calling. So conclusions that we draw based on that tiny bit of awareness is not the ultimate conclusion. So what I want to say in this segment of my teaching is that we want to use our awareness to have the life we want. So we want to expand our awareness. We want to go from where we experience separation to unity, duality to non-duality, prejudice to equality, smallness to bigness and generosity of heart, pointing fingers to looking at we are all human and we are all learning, shaming ourselves to being extra kind to ourselves for coming this far in a land, in a planet where everything is dark. That's why it is said in the Vedas that when you wake up in the morning, you start dreaming again. It's the dream of separation, of prejudice, of bigotry. It is the dream that takes you away from your own truth. And when we sleep, we dream, bona fide. Everybody accepts that. Even modern scientists would say, oh yeah, dream time when you have REM sleep and whatnot. But it is the Vedas which said, no, there is another kind of sleep, that we sleep when we are awake to the world. Our eyes are open, but we've fallen asleep. So to enhance our awareness, you want to be able to rest with a tradition, rest into a tradition, from restlessness into restfulness of a tradition, such as the Vedas, which are going to help you turn on those halogen lights and suddenly you realize, oh my God, I'm not just aware of bodies, now I'm aware of feelings behind people. Now I'm aware of the soul, and now I'm aware that our souls are one, which is known as self, Atma, the boundless being, the infinity, consciousness that makes us all become worthy of love and respect and honor. Yeah. So to begin with, if you want to embody your soul's calling, it's really important to see if your awareness is stuck. Is it stuck in watching Netflix or some other show, CNN News, Fox News? I don't know what you watch. What are you doing with your awareness? Or is your awareness occasionally journeying inside and resting in your heart? And I'm not talking about your physical heart that only pumps blood and takes care of your physical body. I'm talking about your real heart, the Anahata chakra right here in the center, where you feel, where even if you bring your hands close, you feel it talks back to you. This is where you fall in love. This is where you tragically break down when you're betrayed or a loved one transitions. This is your heart right here. Do you ever take your awareness inwards? Do you ever close your eyes and do a scan of your own body and give it love? Thank you finger. Thank you neck. Thank you lips. Thank you cheeks. Do you talk to your being? Where does your awareness go? Or does it go from one empty parking lot in the world to another empty parking lot? Do you know what I mean? Parking lots always fascinated me in this country when I came here. It feels like this planet has become a parking lot. Not only with our cars, but with our expectations. Our awareness just completely taken away by the malls of seduction, taken away by the malls of promises of bigness and some kind of incredible material fullness. But the more we try to fulfill ourselves that way, if our awareness becomes ultra material, only material, and dismally material, then our spiritual awareness crumbles up. So what Vedas teach is bringing both together, like in a namaste, my material self and my spiritual self, and then taking this awareness inwards, 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 while enjoying the comforts of the world, keeping this awareness inwards. So if you want to embody your soul's calling, you have to become more aware of what's your soul. How does it talk to you? It often gives you very silent intuition. It gives you guidance. It talks to you early in the morning if you wake up and receive that guidance. The way I'm a spiritual teacher is that moment between waking up from sleep and falling asleep again in the waking world. I just was sharing about this to a student, so it's up in my mind that I catch my awareness there and I remind myself I'm a soul. I'm playing roles. And that millisecond of memory of that awareness helps me. So how are you culling your awareness is important. Do you meditate? Do you have foods that are seducing you to fall asleep, be addictive? Or are they calming foods so that your awareness can come back to Mother Earth, to you, to the fruit, to the natural things? Is your awareness scattered, polarized, stressed? Or is your awareness calm, inward, restful, supportive of your inner self-healing? These are the things that we will continue talking about when I come back. I want to talk about this whole embodying your soul's calling, but I want to take you through a process of first remembering that the torchlight now has to go inwards, and you want to be able to study something, some tradition in a systematic manner, not some 5-minute here, 10-minute there, something systematic, so that there's so much more light and your true potential as a embodied soul is revealed to you. Your higher purpose is revealed to you. Your higher capacities are revealed to you. And I'm so glad at this moment, and I'm not just talking emptily. I took 3 years to write my book, Sovereign Self. And I have a draft copy of it right now here. It's just a draft copy, but you can pre-order it. It will come in a beautiful hard copy. This is 3 years worth of work. Really, it's an answer to how to embody your soul's calling, and you will remember that you're sovereign, you're autonomous, you're a powerful being. That's what you will find out. So anyway, more when I come back. We're talking about embodying our soul calling, and I talked about the importance of culling our awareness to have the life we want, because our awareness is like a fertilizer, and wherever we put it, that plant will grow. So it could be the plant of positivity or negativity, unity or divisiveness, a sense of limitations and obstructions, or a can-do attitude and a willing to see every obstruction as an opportunity. It's really our choice. And continuing this discussion, I want to talk about breaking free from the myth of the rescuer. I feel that sometimes when we are lost and we really feel intuitively that we have a soul's calling, but we don't know how to access it, how to express it, how to celebrate it, then we start hoping that somebody will rescue us. But there is nobody. Because you don't need anybody. It's not there's nobody because it's a punishment. but the rescuer lives within you. And that rescuer is your own true self, which is indestructible, avinashi. It is full of joy, ananda. It has its own light, atma jyoti. So we wait for somebody to rescue us, as in, while we are not in alignment with our soul calling, we then make pacts with our rescuers. And it could be a wrong relationship, a lover or a partner. And we keep waiting for them to somehow show us the way or make it happen for us, and somehow bring us to this relationship El Dorado, where not only do we have this person in our life, but we also say, wait a minute, I think I found my soul's calling. It doesn't happen that way. More often than not, you shall find that nobody supports you. In fact, when the stakes are high and when it's really urgent in a given lifetime that you're supposed to find your soul's calling, almost every second person you meet shall not rescue you. In fact, they may even push you a little deeper into the dark well of your own self-doubts, confusions, delusions, illusions, and partnerships with so-called rescuers who cannot rescue you. Fortunately, the Vedas say that your mind itself, when it starts receiving knowledge of the Vedic teachings of wisdom, that mind itself once was bleating like a lost sheep saying, rescue me, somebody help me. And that mind itself transforms into your own friend and guide and inner guru. That's why the mind can lead to bandha or bondage, or that same mind can lead to mukti or sovereignty. But as long as we keep waiting externally, even for our guru to rescue us, we are going to wait ad infinitum. Because the guru can only give us knowledge. They are like spiritual consultants. They can say, look, I ate this food, I live this lifestyle, I walk this way. This is how I discerned what to do when I was at a crossroads. This is how taking a few 3 breaths, deep breaths, and then holding it outside you, then exhaling again will help you calm the mind so that you can rethink again, not react, and not respond but not react. Well, they are like consultants. But what have we turned? We have turned to the guru into a rescuing industry. Instead of listening to the guru, trying to walk that path, we have started worshipping the guru. Om Guru Bhyo Namah, Om Guru Bhyo Namah. Incense to the guru, flowers to the guru. Oh Guru, save me, help me finish my MBA. Oh Guru, find my love for me. So we rejected God, so then we put guru there. Or we find our partners and we expect a lot from them. And sometimes we are lucky and we are, partnered up with in a relationship or through marriage, whatever be the reason, or through a profession, we are partnered up with people who are embodying, a greater awareness, a greater light, not just a small, tiny little torchlight. They are holding on to more light. And so in their presence, we become illumined. But half the time, more than half the time, we are with people who are even less aware than us, less expanded than us, more collapsed than us. And if we are in a rescue space at that time, then we are in a self-created misery. Now, I lost my mother when I was quite young. I was 10 precisely. I remember celebrating my 10th birthday in March, and then she transitioned in May. So I remember that date very clearly, that I was 10 years old. And I grew up in a family of spiritual leaders and teachers. I've talked about that many times in this channel, in my books. So I had all the reasons to find the path to my soul and its calling by myself. But I went through a short phase. I went through a short phase when my relationships were not working out, when my sister also passed away, my only sibling. So kind of everything came crumbling upon me. And at that time, I went into this, will someone please rescue me mode? So I'm not speaking from intellectual, let's just talk about break free from the myth of the rescuer. I'm talking from the myth that caught hold of me. And for a while there, I looked around me for people to rescue me. And it's a lot of expectation on your partner, on your surviving relatives, on God. Everybody helped to the best of their capacity. Some didn't. But ultimately, what helped was waking up and realizing I am enough. Many times when we come back from a difficult situation, we thank our guru or our counselor or our best friend, our bestie who has helped us along the way, a special book that we came across. We give all these thanks, but we forget to thank that inner being within us that was so resilient that it came back. There is something in you that is unbreakable. There is something in you that's invincible. There is something in you that is so powerful. Your mind cannot even imagine that spiritual aspect, that dimension of your invincibility. And I want to tell you that instead of wanting to be rescued, start taking care of yourself today. Body through Ayurveda, mind through yoga, and your soul and your relationship with God through Vedanta. I'm so blessed that I had all these three systems of knowledge, and that's why I didn't stay in the will someone rescue me mode for long. But I can tell you this much. Even for little things like how I want to eat in my life, I would give suggestions to my partner, for example. This is how I want to eat, or this is how I should eat according to my Ayurveda constitution, or say there was some cousins and we are all staying together, I would say, hey, this is the time I want to go to bed. Well, people will listen and say, nod along and say nice, but they'll do what they have to do. So if you want to give leadership to your life, you have to get up at certain point from the mela of people talking and go to bed. You have to choose to cook separately for yourself, or take away a portion of the food with less spices or more spices, whatever you need. You have to rescue yourself from this ignorant belief that somehow all these other people here are responsible for you and they have more power than you have power over you. You have that power. And I want to say that when you want to walk on the path of your soul calling, you want to become your own leader and you want to stop waiting to be rescued. Now, growing up as a woman in a patriarchal culture, not that America is less patriarchal, just different ways of patriarchy acting out. That's why I have a future book coming out in 2021, Roar Like a Goddess, Every Woman's Guide to Unapologetic Power, Prosperity, and Purpose. And even though it says every woman, it's really for every person, female, male, or any gender, who feels powerless due to patriarchy. So growing up in a patriarchal culture and having this strange experience that I didn't agree to patriarchy because that was not my experience in my very liberal Vedic family. I don't remember these contemplations a lot, like, well, Shunya, you're a woman, therefore, you're a girl, therefore. I don't remember that. And my grandfather chose me as his lineage holder amongst male candidates. He chose me, and there was no explanation or apology or afterthought of, well, just because, you know. So I grew up kind of fiercely comfortable in myself, in my soul, in my body, in my mind, but there was all this non-congruence everywhere around me. There was a lot of confusion. Now, when you have this kind of confusion, and I've written about that in my future book, that, you know, this patriarchy is like a virus. And even though I kind of grew up in a bubble, when I came out of that bubble, I was shamed for even being that free spirit. And I was shamed for daring to be who I am. So for a while there, just for a while there, I let go of my power. And when I say a while, I don't mean decades. I mean like a year or so. I experimented with being this damsel in distress, or like being this vulnerable human being who, and my God, I think I was doing that like in experiments in my darkness, because then I realized that a lot of people do this for all their lives. And I could barely breathe, and I was suffocating under those beliefs that somebody else needed to okay my health plans, or my beliefs in myself, or my self-purpose, or my knowledge of what works for me. So naturally, when I unzipped and said, ta-da, that's not who I am at all. There must be some cosmic reason why I agreed to become smaller than I am. But guess what? I'm infinitely big. I still love you guys, but ta-ta. I can rescue me. And what I found is, every day, it's a confirmation to me that I am enough. And when you are able to be there for yourself, I have found that with my every finger and all my hands and all my awareness and all my heart, I'm holding on to so many people, helping them, but not in this sick kind of way where, you know, wait, I'll give you a hand because you can't help yourself. So I don't give people fish. I tell them how to fish. So I tell them, hey, guess what? Several decades ago, I broke through the myth that I need to be rescued, and you can too. So the one way I help is by sharing this message, being forthright, not putting on airs of, you know, goody two shoes, and telling you how it is, and how it is for every person on this world. And we buy into this matrix which makes us disempowered, this Maya, and we start living there, and we bewail the consequences of that disempowerment. And we look around and we look at our husbands and wives and lovers and uncles and dads and bosses and colleagues, and nobody really cares for us to come into our light because you didn't care. But when you shall care, everything will fall into place. You can really let go of the myth to be rescued, because you are liberated and free inside you. That's why the title of my forthcoming book is Sovereign Self, that you are already sovereign. Just like the sun is always shining, and there may be clouds that have covered it temporarily, but clouds is not the reality. Clouds is a reality for those 10 minutes or 10 days, but the sun is still shining. And when you blow the winds of wisdom, the sun shall shine again. The winds of wisdom will blow away the clouds, and you'll find the sun there again. That's why beyond your sorry, stressed, disturbed, addictive, passionate, fierce, confused, grasping, greedy, grabby mind is your sovereign self. your sovereign being that is free to be or become what it wants to become, to lead the life that it wants to lead. But first, we have to let go of somebody else saying it's okay, somebody else cooking for you what you need to eat, somebody else mixing the herbs that you need to swallow, somebody else taking a walk for you that you need to walk, and somebody else standing up for you when you should be standing up for you. So maybe the point is made. And when we want to embody our soul's calling, we want to expand our awareness back all the way into ourselves, and then realize that, oh my God, there is something very special inside me. I am a free being. I'm a powerful being, and I can take decisions for myself. And as I take those, there might be some murmur, some confusion, some shifting of the tactile plates, because you dare to be somebody different from the conditioned way that everybody else is walking around, which I call, in my book, sleepwalking or sleepwalkers. You're different. You're not willing to sleepwalk anymore. You're willing to be not only physically awake, but spiritually awake. So I hope this is helping you. I'm sharing from my heart. When I come back, I want to talk about how once you start becoming your own leader, you can activate the creator and manifester vibration or abilities in you. Let's talk about that when I come back. Welcome back to my global satsang classroom. We are talking about how to embody your soul's calling. And if you're joining me now, you might want to catch the previous segments of my satsang, where we've been looking at the ways that we are there but not there. For example, our awareness may be so caught up in the world, lapping up all the events that are happening, and we think we're like listening to the news, or we're talking to our friend about the state of affairs, and I'm not saying that's wrong, except that our awareness is all outwards, and fear is there, and panic is there, and when you look out, news channels are ready to give you the news. Social media is ready to give you false or true news. So everything is going on. But there is another awareness that we can cultivate. And this is that awareness that comes from wisdom. It comes from resting into wisdom, finding an authentic source of wisdom, a teacher, a book, a tradition, a path. And then suddenly, as if your dark room that only had a few lights, and you had kind of a myopic or confused view of reality because most of it was concealed, only the things the world wants you to see was revealed. But when you go into the Vedic teachings like Bhagavad Gita, Upanishads, the whole thing gets released, and you realize that you are in some kind of a matrix known as Maya, and everything feels very real, and you feel like you can't breathe anymore. But you just take one step backwards, one step, and the whole world will just crumble apart. So something is like, so what? Yeah, it's terrible. Yeah, so what? And as you walk inwards and you just be with it, you discover something whole and invincible. Now we have to live in the world. So I never advocate, I'm a non-monastic teacher. I never advocate walking away from the world, burying your head in the sand and pretending like, nothing's happening. I don't recommend that to be sane, you have to go live in a commune or something. I'm not saying that. But I'm saying that, yes, there is a pandemic. I'm saying, yes, there is a, polarized politics. Yes, there is difficulties. And yes, I have to also stand up and take right action. But for that minute there, nothing matters. And your awareness goes and touches Mother Earth below. the sun that is shining peacefully, relentlessly, eternally above. The stars and moon that know their business. Only we humans are running around with like chickens with our head cut off. But everything else is quiet, a spectator. And if you join that spectatorship, you shall feel like your awareness has expanded. And in that awareness, intuitively, your next action shall arise. But if our awareness is only caught up with one task, constant social media, constantly swiping our phone, constantly emailing, or even worrying about something constantly. You're taking a walk, you're worrying about something, you're trying to sleep, you're worrying about something. That means your mind, because your mind, you can't depend on your mind alone for your spiritual journey. Your mind is part of the matrix called Maya in the Vedas that wants to put you to sleep or get so subscribed into the matrix that you have no breathing room. You can have a heart attack from the current affairs. You have no creativity left. You wake up every morning thinking you'll win the world, and you go back to sleep kind of feeling like a loser. And how the 24-hour day passed, you don't know. In the meantime, the earth spins on its own axis. So much is happening, but we could barely do anything. Our beliefs and attitudes are stuck. Our body feels jammed with toxins. We can barely breathe. We don't even breathe all the way down to our stomach. We don't enjoy the flowers that are growing. We don't notice the bird that came to our backyard. We don't see the truth in the person who looks different from us. We don't see hope. How can we even talk about living our soul's calling? We can take a workshop for it, sure, we can pay lots of money, and everybody will give you a formula, but I'll tell you that to create or to manifest the creator in you, or to activate that aspect of you that is creative, that is manifesting the life you want, that is enjoying the relationships that it knows you deserve deep down, of respect, of love, of equality and equanimity, of inheriting the planet we are meant to inherit. We have to somehow turn away from the polarized situation outside us and the polarized and super acted up mind that we have. We really have to step away from the mental working of the world and the life and the situations into a non-mental, almost like a feeling, breathing, quieter space of pure being. What's going on? Nothing. What you thinking? Nothing. Are you stupid? I think so. It's almost like it doesn't matter. I'm not intelligent. I'm not necessarily, I don't know, I have so many problems. I need to figure out. No, I don't need to. In the stupidness is a sweetness. Do you see what I mean when I use that word? It's almost like I don't need to know. Because the human mind always wants to stay 2 steps ahead, fix the future, perfect it, make sure there are guarantees of it's not failing. It doesn't want to be ever stupid. And I have recently come into my soul calling when my mind doesn't know what to do. And every time I reach that crossroads, I go, oh man, I've reached my mind's stupidity zone. I like it because now my soul's wisdom can be ignited. And then I will look at the sun, I will look at the roses, I will look at the dahlias in my garden that are like this big. They are not stupid because they are trusting. They are restful. So see, there is some kind of a soul level alignment which doesn't seem to have any kind of rationality with the mind. It's almost like where the mind and intellect go to sleep is where the lotus of your soul shall tell you what is your soul calling. And I'm not saying that one should not be on top of things. I'm not saying don't pay your bills. I'm not saying don't read books. I'm not saying don't read, the newspaper. I'm not saying that. But I'm saying, do you have moments and do you have a journey, a path, a teacher who is telling you that yes, you can learn from your mind, the mind/ego, and the problems in the world, and then it's more like it pushes you around, the problems push you around. Your mind has learned to sidestep them, stay safe, hide, change face, wear a mask, and just kind of survive. Like it's like a stealthy cat that's trying to get through the house without anybody knowing that it's there because it wants to drink the milk. But it's like there's so much effort. It's not useful because this kind of pushing you towards awakening, where the darkness pushes you or the darkness molds you or kicks you around. And so nowadays in New Age spirituality, it's like, yay, the darkness. I agree, I too have benefited from darkness, but at some point we need the light. We need to welcome the light, welcome knowledge, read books, and read the words of great sages and understand how they lived, how they breathed, how they ate, how they thought, how they self-corrected their thoughts, how they embodied dharma, the right thing to do, no matter what the consequence. Even if they're to die, they would not give up truth. When you have that kind of spiritual guidance, then you see, it's almost like God will come to you and pick you. You don't have to like, oh, I gotta, what's the word? Hustle. I don't have to hustle to be enlightened. It's like you're lifted. And when you're lifted in your vibration, your higher mind, known as dhi or buddhi, gets activated. On a day-to-day level, when we are just surviving and we're trying to write blogs because everybody should write blogs. We're trying to write a book or a bestseller because that's the way to get ahead. And we're trying to if you're at that level, well, we'll write the blog and we'll write the book. And whether or not it makes an impact in the world, which I doubt, it's definitely going to deplete you and give you blood pressure to be that spiritual in the world. Write spiritual blogs and go to a spiritual yoga class and go to the best yoga teacher. And it's like a hustle. But when you have expanded your awareness, become your own leader, you're not needing to be rescued, and you've gone inwards, the way to truly become the manifester of what you want to manifest is where your whole vibration gets picked up. There is playfulness, there is ease, and guess what? There is a download of creativity. And some of you, some of you say, where were you all my, I hear that, where were you all my life? How come we didn't hear about you sooner? Guess what? I was trying to be picked up. This is called grace, where the soul's vibration changes, and then your vision is so beautiful that even though circumstances may be difficult, people are still confused around you. There is bombs being detonated and difficulties happening in your life, circumstances, you are inwardly feeling like that flow never goes away. So this is the place where you start becoming the creator of what you want. Now, in the past, when I didn't live in this higher mind, this higher vibration, this manifesting vibration, when I lived down here, not because I'm evil, we all start here, right? I don't have stories like, oh, I was just born here. We all go here and there's a path, and my teacher gave me that path, and I give that to my students through my writings, my books, my courses. So there is a path. Now, when I lived down here, I was not ready to write the books. That's why my first book, came out when I was 50. And now I have and I'm 53 now, I believe, and I have 4 books. 2 are out and 2 are in the pipeline. Because, it's like that creativity is so primed. Now, does it mean life is easy for me now that you're 50 and we all blame our circumstances and she said that and I didn't have the money and then nobody supported me and I didn't have the rescuers to rescue me so I could do what I need to do. But reality is when you have reached that place through understanding of bringing your awareness inwards and not letting it stay scattered, becoming your own leader, and as a result taking up Vedic wisdom practices like discernment, detachment, yoga, right, that I teach, devotion yoga, karma yoga, how to act from a pure place. But because of all that, you no longer remain the same person. You may look the same, and let me tell you, I don't even look the same. If you look at my photos when I was sweet 16 and you look at me now, I think you will say, what happened to you, Shunya? I mean, you would think biological youth will give you more radiance. No, that vibration, that manifesting and creative vibration gives you the radiance. And this is a whole journey. And that's why I couldn't, like my next book that's coming out, Sovereign Self, that talks about this journey. I couldn't write a 200-page book. It had to be a 400-page book. It is a 3-part book. It has 24 chapters. It begins with understanding the matrix and how we are in bondage. And it ends with the declaration that despite the matrix, I understand that raising my vibration and not just being driven and pushed and kicked around by the polarities of life is up to me. And I've understood that and I exercise that choice. So ultimately, to activate the creator and manifest vibration in you is up to you. And where do you want to subscribe? So it began with very small things, and I can give you examples of very small things. For example, for a long time, everybody was angry with me, like my loved ones, that I don't respond to the phone. So I said, well, unless we have an appointment, I won't pick up the phone. Nobody can just call me and have my soul on call. Then, when we got rid of a landline, I had to have a phone near me. So now my phone has whatever it needs to have on it. But instead of it going ting, 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 and every time me rushing, leaving my consciousness to rush and check, I have alarms set for what I need to do and what I need to check. Thirdly, I remove anybody who sends me jokes and cartoons. Now, I'm a very humorous and hilarious person and I love jokes and cartoons. But I never said that just because I'm walking around with a supercomputer in my hands, I'm going to give my whole being, my whole manifestation, that 30 seconds to read what you think you need me to read. See? So I participate in social media responsibly. I place things which I am being told are useful to people to become liberated, that they say to me that, look, your stuff is causing us harassment. I will disappear from social media. Similarly, I come on YouTube to share my deep stuff, not to sell things, not to badger you with falling asleep and worshipping me. I just share with you what's helping me. Because the rest of the time, I'm always floating above the matrix. What am I doing? I'm writing about the goddesses today. No, I'm not writing about the goddesses today. I'm channeling the goddesses today. Oh, I see. That's what we're doing. Oh, today somebody needs some help. Let me chant a mantra for them. Or today I just want to smell the roses in my garden. I'll spend the whole day weeding in my backyard. Okay. See, I'm here. I'm not here, driven like a puppet here and there with whatever the world wants from me. And yet I will vote. And yet I will write that special post that I need to post. So how can you be in the matrix and yet keep your head above the matrix is the question. That's all. If you just keep exercising this choice, slowly you will see that there was more to you, that you couldn't see when you were in the matrix. When you are hypnotized and just going from gadget to gadget, from screen to screen, from news to news, from one gossiping person to another gossiping person, from your inner lamentation to your best friend's lamentation because you've made a friend without discernment, you are there. And no amount of mala and Om Namah Shivaya you do, and no amount of guru worship you do, only you are your own rescuer. And if you become a little snobbish around all this and say, you know what, this is what I'm doing in a given day. What am I doing? So when I started picking myself up from saying enough screens, enough this, enough that, this is what I'm doing, this is what I'm not doing, and I will run and help somebody in need. But again, it should not be conditioned. So this is where the more you start becoming a discerning, thinking user of the matrix, but not the matrix, not the person of the matrix. You don't make up the matrix, you're in the matrix. Then alone, without much effort, you shall start finding that something else is blossoming within you, your higher potential. This is a higher vibration or a higher energy of the mind, if I may use simple terms. And you shall find that when you wake up in the morning, you suddenly have a song or a tune, and that tune has come from God's mind to you because you're not separate according to the Vedas. It was so cluttered. That tune was always there, like the sun is always there behind the cloud. You just couldn't hear it. So it's a simple case of cleansing, purifying, and then waiting and enjoying what blossoms within. We work so hard. It's too much. All we really have to do is some separation from everything around us, even our own partners, even our own children. There is you. Who are you? Where did you come from? Are you just a drifting body in this whole universe? Or have you taken a birth for a reason? And then when I was quiet, and then when I was inward, and then when I was selective, people told me I'm more present for them than I was before. Because when you are all like distracted, you may pretend to be available for everybody, but you're not really present. But when you are present for yourself and God, you're present for the whole world. I get letters from the whole world telling me how my words, my image, my dream, my memory has come to remind them of their own truth. And all I have to do is live in this higher manifestation. So then the same mind that was once lost in the matrix, when it becomes a little cleansed from the matrix, it flowers like a lily or a lotus in the sun. Because if you've seen a lily plant in a pond, it will stay closed. But when the sun comes, it will blossom on its own. This is called, Pankaj Mudra or Lotus Mudra. It's like the lotus. It just goes like this, And we say that the Upanishads or the Vedas are like the sun. I really hope that you get to study the Vedas with some qualified master. And to begin with, you can always start with my book, Sovereign Self. And best wishes. It may not be the Vedas, it may be Buddhism. I have respect for deep traditions that, I've seen Zen, Buddhism, Jainism, Sikhism. When you go into their spiritual part, when you go beyond the rituals, if you go into the deeper teachings of Hinduism, Jainism, Buddhism, even mystic Christianity, there is this this ascension of the being. What ascended? Your own mind, from the waddling in the mud and the clutter into its own sovereign being. And that is the state you want to live in. That's how you want to be a mom or a dad or a sister or a brother. You feel all your emotions, not like you're a zombie, but you're not colored by them. You don't remain, you're not a person who's permanently stained with, oh, she's a happy person, or that's just a tragic person. No. You remain like the vast sky, and clouds will come and go. And mostly there will be something that's very intact in you. And your creativity, your success, your ability to be successful despite difficult circumstances, because that comes from karma, from other lives. You can't immediately remove it. I have some difficult karma too, physical karma of health and some karma of situations in life. I can't just make them vanish. But am I like a lotus right now in the middle of the mud? Oh yeah, I'm a lotus in the mud. I invite you to be a lotus in the mud of your life. With this, thank you so much. Take care. Until next time.